The NBA trade deadline is less than a week away, and the Toronto Raptors have yet to make a move. But in this video, we look at 3 Raptors players that could still get traded before the deadline. Let's get into it. Welcome Raptors fans to Amateur Hour Sports. This is the channel where you get NBA content with a focus on the Toronto Raptors. So if you like what you see from today's video and you want more of myself talking about the Raptors in videos or streams just like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Show your support to the channel. If you're wondering why my beard looks like this, it's because you don't come to the streams, but you can change that tonight as we watch along the Toronto Raptors versus the Utah Jazz, coming up against a loss to the Washington Wizards. Maybe in a back-to-back it'll be a little bit tired. We'll be streaming at 7:45 Eastern time to watch along that game, so make sure you are there for that. But in our video for today on a lovely Friday, we talk about the Toronto Raptors as we head towards the trade deadline. And honestly, the videos for the next week are probably all going to be concerned about the trade deadline, the Raptors, if they will do anything, what they will do by the deadline. And today, we look at 3 players that can still get traded before the deadline. Now, the key word here is still, because the Toronto Raptors, there's really no rumors swirling around about if they're going to make a trade. You know, Kyle Lowry rumors are kind of still lingering about, but the Raptors, I think, are downplaying any sort of move happening, even though I still think that it's possible that one will happen. But the Raptors, really quiet so far, and with their bad run of form and their bad season so far in terms of their record, sure, they've been playing better, and sure, they got hit with the health and safety protocols that kept players out for 5 games, but with their record the way it is, playing the Jazz tonight, I would have thought something would have happened already, but it has not. So let's look at 3 players who can still get traded before the deadline, starting with, as I mentioned, Kyle Lowry. Now, the Raptors are doing a very good job of downplaying any sort of trade happening. And this is exactly what an organization should do with a player who is a hot commodity in the trade market. If the Raptors held a press conference and said, yes, we are actively seeking to trade Kyle Lowry, that all of a sudden just completely destroys his value in the market. The more you refuse to trade a player, the more you say, we are absolutely not trading this player. Any calls that we're fielding, we are saying we have no interest in trading Kyle Lowry. Anytime you do this, you upgrade his value in the market, because all of a sudden teams know that they gotta pay up to get this player, and they know that there's going to be some fierce competition to get this player as well. As soon as you say we're actively seeking to trade this player, that's when teams just understand that, okay, no matter what, they got to trade him at this point, because what's that going to do to Kyle Lowry's mindset? If the Raptors say, yes, we're looking to trade him, what's that going to do to his mindset by doing that? Now he's got to go out and play if you can't get the right deal sorted. The Raptors have to get the deal sorted at this point. But saying that he's not up for trade, it gives them the flexibility to keep him and stick to their word. It also gives them the flexibility to trade him before the deadline at a higher price. The Raptors are going to want a very big package coming back for Kyle Lowry, the greatest Raptor of all time. He's a guy who many would consider to be the missing link for a lot of these contenders, like the Clippers, like the Miami Heat, like the Philadelphia 76ers. Now, the Clippers have absolutely nothing of value to trade to us, so they are going to be completely out of this conversation. But the Miami Heat and the Philadelphia 76ers, I've stressed this on this channel, the 76ers have a lot of desirable pieces. You can work at a trade around Mike Scott, Danny Green, Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey. That would be a fine trade for Kyle Lowry. And the Miami Heat, there's no specific trade I have in mind, but they've got some pieces like Kendrick Nunn, like Tyler Hero. The Raptors can work out a trade somewhere in around one of those players. Maybe something could work out there, because the Miami Heat, they are that point guard general away from being that elite contender. You know, they got to the final last year without him. The 76ers as well, I believe, are that team that really needs the point guard to elevate them, like a pure point guard. Ben Simmons is a great player, but he's not that pure point guard like Kyle Lowry, who could completely change the dynamic of these teams. Now, the Raptors, if the right offer comes in, knowing that Kyle Lowry is a free agent at the end of the season, I am quite sure that the Raptors would be able to part ways with Kyle Lowry, knowing that they get a good return. If Philly or Miami decide that, yes, we absolutely need this player for the rest of the season, and they make a very desirable offer, I can see the Raptors not hesitating and just going, all right, that's a great return. Let's not risk the end of the season if he leaves for free. Let's go ahead and make this deal. Because the Raptors, with that 2019 championship team, having lost 4 key pieces already, Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, Serge Ibaka, and Marc Gasol, all for nothing for one reason or another, I really don't want to see a 5th one go for absolutely nothing. The front office has struggled this season, but I think they can rectify a lot of their errors by getting some prospects, maybe some picks for Kyle Lowry before the trade deadline on March 25th. The second player that could still be traded by this March 25th NBA trade deadline is Norman Powell, who is on an absolute tear lately. He has averaged 30 plus points per game in his last 7 games. With all these players out, he has absolutely carried the workload, but has not gotten any help. He is doing everything on his own and was absolutely hung out to dry Wednesday night against the Detroit Pistons. And the reason that Norman Powell could still get traded is because he's on an expiring contract technically, and his value has never been higher at all in his career. A team who needs that wing sniper like the Raptors, who really need that kind of player, but the Raptors can maybe decide that this isn't their year, get some picks, work on next season, decide that, this just simply is not our year. Let's make next year a better year, and decide that Norman Powell at his absolute max value right now, trade him to a team who could use that wing score. Like, Norman Powell's a scoring machine. He averages 50, 40, 90 basically. This is a guy that could absolutely move to another team and significantly help them for a playoff push. Playoff P, playoff Powell, that is an absolute real thing when it comes to Norman Powell. The Raptors could look at this contract. He's got a player option worth about $11 million at the end of the season. He is 1,000,000% not going to take that player option because he's worth, some would consider him worth over $20 million a year at this point. I would be happy to give him between 18 and 20 million. I would like to give him around $19 million at the end of the season. Maybe 3 years, $18.5 million a year. That sounds fantastic to me, because we can't really rely maybe on his consistency to produce this because we just haven't had the sample size. So there's questions. I feel like Norman Powell can continue to produce these sort of numbers, and in this starting role, he can continue to produce these numbers, but there's not enough of a sample size to guarantee that. So the Raptors may want to just trade him away, get some good returning, get some picks, maybe some prospects, maybe another player who could help them on their team, and go for it next season, try again next season. I struggle to see the Raptors keeping Kyle Lowry and keeping Norman Powell at the end of the season, as both will be free agents. So a decision needs to be made. Personally, I would like to keep Norman Powell at the end of the season, but the Raptors organization could decide that Kyle Lowry is their man and cash in on Norman Powell with his value at the highest it has ever been. I personally would not trade Norman Powell. I would like to see him finish off the season, and I would really, really like to see the Raptors re-sign him, because I think that this is just a stepping stone. I think Norman Powell can get even better than he already is. I think that this is just not a small little spell. This is a small sample size, but I think this is one he can carry over into future seasons. He just simply has that skill set as a scorer. The third player that the Toronto Raptors could still trade before the March 25th NBA trade deadline is the beloved Aaron Baines. Aaron Baines has been much better recently for the Raptors. He's starting to play a better role on defense. He is starting to play a bit of a better role on offense, starting to hit his threes a little more often, still not great, and he's definitely underwhelmed in terms of when he's coming. But Aaron Baines is on a decently sized contract, but I feel like he's starting to really find his rhythm with this Toronto Raptors team, and people just are trying to compare Aaron Baines to Serge Ibaka. You got to understand, Aaron Baines is neither Serge Ibaka or Marc Gasol. Aaron Baines is Aaron Baines, and he is doing exactly what he should be doing on the court, but people have set such high expectations for him. They expect so much from him, and anytime anything goes wrong for the Raptors, Aaron Baines is a scapegoat. We absolutely blame everything on Aaron Baines. Well, not me. A lot of Raptors fans blame everything on Aaron Baines. When something goes wrong, when the team plays poor, it's because Aaron Baines. It seems like Aaron Baines is always the guy that people are going to criticize, even though he has been much better recently and provides some good backup center defense. I think that the best case for the Raptors team before the deadline would be able to pick up a guy like JaVale McGee, like Mo Bamba or Hassan Whiteside. Just, a cheap center to come in to shore up the rebounding, shore up the defense, to start in the center position. And I like Aaron Baines as the backup center. I think that is the best role for him. But the Raptors could decide that they don't want to get rid of any pieces for a center other than the center that they currently have, because they like to play Chris Boucher at center. So the Raptors may decide that Aaron Baines is a guy that needs to be traded to pick up a center. And Aaron Baines on a bit of money, maybe you can send over Aaron Baines and some picks, Aaron Baines and some other pieces to pick up a better center than just a JaVale McGee, than just a Hassan White, and then just Mo Bamba. That could be the direction the Toronto Raptors want to take this. Maybe they think that the Aaron Baines experiment is over. Earlier in the week, Nick Nurse had some very kind words to say in a press conference about Aaron Baines, how he is starting to finally gel, finally find that chemistry with this Raptors team, and I 100% agree with that. So trading for another center by trading Aaron Baines could all of a sudden start the process over again. You have to get this new center integrated with this Toronto Raptors roster, who play, a very rotation-heavy defense, who like to have their bigs sitting up in the high post rather than down low in the paint. That could be a completely different dynamic for a center coming in, but the Raptors could still decide that if they want to get a better center, Aaron Baines is the guy that needs to go the other way. Personally, I would keep Aaron Baines and I would keep Norman Powell, and I think that Kyle Lowry is the best player to trade, though I wouldn't be upset if we still kept him, as long as we kept him at the end of the season and didn't sacrifice Norman Powell's contract. But these are three players the Raptors could absolutely trade before the deadline if the price is right. I'm sure they are going to be fielding calls for Kyle Lowry and Norman Powell, and I'm sure that if they're talking about trades, maybe Aaron Baines' name comes up as a player the Raptors want to send the other way. Whether or not there's going to be some mutual interest in trading, whether or not teams are going to want to trade for Aaron Baines, that remains to be seen. But these are three players that Toronto could absolutely still trade before the deadline. Probably the three most likely players to get traded before the deadline, if anybody's going to get traded, because that's the biggest thing when it comes to this. The Raptors only have a week to go, and the rumors are quiet. There's always a lot of talk about the Raptors trading players, but right now there isn't. It seems like there's always another rumor, but right now there just simply is no rumors around. And, Masai Ujiri, credit to him, he keeps a lot of these little things quiet, like the trade for Kawhi Leonard. That came out of left field. That was super quiet. Nothing leaked to the media, but maybe this is a similar situation. But I honestly feel more and more every day like the Raptors are not going to make any trade before the March 25th deadline. They're just going to decide that this season is a write-off. Let's finish it with what we got. Let's not make any drastic decisions with the trade. Let's regroup in the offseason. Let's be better. Let's try to get a free agent like Victor Oladipo, and let's see where we can go next season. I don't think this is the best decision. I really thought that if we got a better sure big like JaVale McGee, that this Raptors team would improve by a considerable degree. But with the five guys being out for those 5 games, losing 5 in a row, losing 8 of our last 9, we're in some turmoil right now, and I think that a trade does need to happen. But honestly, if I'm a betting man, the Raptors aren't making any moves before the deadline. What do you guys think of these 3 players the Raptors could still trade? Do you think any of them will be on the move? Do you think the Raptors will make any trade period? Let me know in the comment section down below. But that wraps up for me for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please like the video. If you like and subscribe to Amateur Hour Sports for more content just like this. We also release merch for the channel. Check the link in the description to get yourself some Amateur Hour Sports merch. You can look good and support this stream at the very same time, and make sure you are there tonight at 7:45 Eastern time for the Toronto Raptors game against the Utah Jazz. We will be watching along together, as we do for every game. At the end of the day, I believe what I say. If you disagree, that is okay. We'll see you again next time for another video.